See PPC Department of Parks and Recreation's celebration of National Nutrition Month. Throughout March, experience fun, interactive nutrition workshops and cooking demonstrations where you will get nutritional tools and explore ways to make healthier choices for the entire family. Be sure to share what you learned during this session with a friend or family member. Thank
Again, welcome and thank you for joining us for our celebration of National Nutrition Month. My name is Savannah Nielsen, and I am a health and wellness intern with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Before we begin, let's go over a few housekeeping items. You should see a microphone icon at the bottom of your screen like you see on this screen. You will need to click this icon to mute yourself. We would ask that you remain muted to limit any distractions during the program. Next, I want to draw your attention to the camera icon. You use this to turn your camera off and on. Please be mindful that when your camera is on, all participants joining us this evening will be able to see your screen. You have the option to keep your camera on or turn it off, but remember we want to minimize distractions throughout the program and keep the focus of on the presentation being provided. The last icon I want to tell you about is the chat icon. This will allow you to ask questions throughout the program. To type a question, you will just need to click on the icon like the one you see on the screen to bring up the chat box, and it should take you to what you see next. Once you see the chat box, as you see on this screen, there will be a space for you to type your question in. Hit enter and we will see your question on the screen. Please ask your questions throughout the program and there will be a time at the end to answer your questions. We are looking forward to a great discussion. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our trained professional for the evening. Josefina Hiron is a registered dietitian, licensed dietitian nutritionist, and holds a certificate in child and adolescent weight management. She is Texas-born and Florida-raised, and she received her Bachelor of Science in Dietetics from Florida International University. Josefina makes nutrition accessible for Spanish-speaking customers through classes, consults, and store tours. She is passionate about helping others live their best healthy life by meeting them where they are and empowering them to make healthy eating a fun part of their lives. She is driven to live new experiences and is ready to try different foods, travel, run a race, or go on a hike. Welcome, Josefina.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here this evening, and I've got something real fun and exciting for you guys. So I am going to share my screen. Give me a quick second. Okay. Okay, I think I got it. Can everybody see my screen all right?
Yes, looks good.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, so I can't see anybody. So or the chat. So yeah, if you just unmute yourself to communicate with the presenter. So yes, my name is Josefina Giron, and I am a dietitian with on the Healthy Living team with Giant. And this is one of my favorite topics because I'm just the type of person that I don't want to be cooking every night. Sometimes we just want that night off from the kitchen. So traditionally that might mean eating out, but those foods are going to be higher in saturated fats, sodium, and more added sugars than what we want. So how do we take that desire to have a night off from the kitchen, but not sacrifice our healthy meals or even our pocketbook? Because, cooking once, eating twice would also help our pocketbook. So the answer is just that, cooking once, eating twice. And I definitely love to have, food in the fridge to not have to cook every night. So we want to, balance those meals. So cooking once, eating twice allows us to try new cooking methods and recipes. It also allows our want to eat healthier foods more often, balance out that desire for ease, because we definitely want things to, be easy with our, very hectic and maybe busy lifestyles. And it also helps us to save time in the long run. It also helps to avoid the kitchen and cooking burnouts, because if we're, in the kitchen, every day, chances are that we are going to burn out. So we definitely don't want that. We want it to continue to be fun, exciting, and definitely nourishing. So cooking once, eating twice. The most common way, that good old fashioned leftovers and batch cooking. So it's doing the intentionally making more quantities and having leftovers for the next day. So I'm definitely the type of person that I love to have leftovers. So leaving in the fridge and designating them for the next day or the day after. And then we have freezer meals, which are going to be meals that, do really well frozen. And we'll get more into that. And then makeover meals. So being able to prepare food ahead of time, freeze it, or, keep it in the refrigerator and then reheat it when it's, we need a quick, when we need a quick meal, and then using those ingredients to create a totally different recipe. So that's going to be a makeover meal, which I will go into also a little later. Okay, but before we get into that, we must first talk about making a plan. Making a plan and planning out is super important when it comes to makeover meals. First, it helps to prevent food waste. We've all been there when when we open the refrigerator and find something and think, I have no idea that got in here, and end up throwing it away. So really, that's one of the greatest things, is that it definitely helps to reduce food waste. And if we're reducing food waste, that's also helping not only the environment, but also our pocket, because the most expensive food that we can have is the ones that we are throwing in the trash. That's going to be probably the most expensive food because we're not using it. And then the second is, making a plan also helps to prevent those food safety issues. Like I said, foods last a really long time in the freezer, but not in the same in the refrigerator. So for example, cooked chicken can last 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator. So if you make that chicken on a Monday, you want to make sure you have a plan to, use it, or to make it over and have it out of the fridge by Thursday. So definitely, having those plans is really helpful, as well as, preventing those food safety issues. And then lastly, making a plan makes this just easier. We've all been there when our kids or a significant other or our own tummies are asking what's for dinner or what's for lunch. And maybe we get to 6 o'clock and are done with work and have absolutely no idea what's for dinner. So making a plan helps you know what you're going to put on your table right when you are done with work. So it does require a little bit of more work ahead of time in the front, but once your week gets busy and things are rolling and running around, then it just kind of makes it that much easier, less thinking while you're on the go. And then once you can do this more often, it does become more of a routine. Like everything in the beginning, there's that learning curve that this takes a little more effort and energy. But once you get into a habit of it, you get into a routine, a rhythm, um, then it's not even that much work. You'll have recipes that you enjoy. You'll have like freezer recipes and ways to kind of recreate meals that you enjoy and that are that work for you. And you can just kind of reuse the meal plan. So having maybe, 1 or 2 cycles for a meal plan. So it's week 1, you might have a certain meal plan. Week 2, you might have a certain meal plan. And then you can repeat, or you can just have like a separate week 3 and then kind of repeat that. So some meal ideas, what do I make? So you first want to start with some household input. What is the family like? Having input from everyone actually, will help the family to eat more of the foods that we are serving. So definitely, having some household input, reviewing either cookbooks or recipes online. At Giant, we have a savory magazine. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but you could definitely grab it when you're entering the store or at the customer service desk. And on our website at giantfood.com/savory, we have a great list of different recipes that I'll actually be sharing with you in the presentation today. So grabbing some of these favorite recipes would be one step, and then doing a home inventory. So checking your fridge, your refrigerator, your freezer, and your pantry. A lot of times there's things that are like really hidden in our freezer that need to be used. Bring it to the front first in, first out. You want to try using that method. So making sure that you know what's in your freezer, having a little inventory, and also in your pantry. I know there's been times when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a pasta dish, and I already have like 2 or 3 different kinds of pastas at home. So knowing what you already have at home in your pantry is really important in that process of that meal planning. And then finding what staples do I need. And then when you're going to the grocery store, doing that inventory is helpful to see what's on sale. Are there any coupons that I might have? What's in the weekly circular. And a lot of times the apps have sales as well, some different coupons. So using all of those different guides so that we can get the most bang for our buck. And then once you grab all your tools, your recipes, your calendar at home and grocery options, you want to, plan out your days. So this is really important with planning out your foods with what the schedule is like. So there's going to be some days that, you might have a later night, or, an earlier night, or things that you're much busier. So looking to see what meals, and maybe an easier recipe or something quick and easy, or on a day that you have a really late night, that you might want to, if you're with somebody else, like someone else is going to be in charge of putting the dinner at the table. It might be something that's like quick and easy, that you can defrost or already have in the freezer, and just all it needs to be done is taken out. So really looking at how you're going to plan out your meals according to what the schedule is for that week. And then, use what you have, similar ingredients. You could use similar ingredients on different recipes, and I'll go over that in some later slides as well. And then doubling up. So are there, I definitely like to double up on protein, sometimes on grains, and be able to use that in different recipes. And then, yes, I'm a dietitian, so we're always thinking about my plate and, balancing out our plate. And it is National Nutrition Month, so we want to make sure we're having a good balanced diet, good balanced meals. So when you are looking at your meals and planning out those meals, asking yourself, do I have a protein? What's my protein source? How about a grain? And if I can make my grain a whole grain, that's going to be even better, because it's going to have more fiber, it's going to have some protein, it's going to be more, heart healthy. And then am I including some fruits and vegetables? We want to try to get half of our plate with produce. So making sure that we're adding some of those produce in our meal plans as well. So going into leftovers and batch cooking. So like I said, I love to have leftovers. If I'm gonna cook, I definitely want to have leftovers so that I can either have it for the next day as lunch or freeze it and have it for later. Um, and this is similar with batch cooking, where you're gonna maybe increase some of the maybe the protein and the maybe the grains, and then be able to mix and match it or add it into other things. So some great leftovers that are, also easy to freeze are going to be casseroles, soups, and chilies, and some baked dishes. And here, I'd just like to pause and see if anybody has, any if any input on like what kind of leftovers they like to have. And maybe you can just put it in the chat.
I like spaghetti as a leftover.
Yeah, spaghetti is a great leftover. Sometimes some of these leftovers taste even better. My family, I'm Mexican, and we do enchiladas, and they actually taste much better the next day. Sometimes it's similar with lasagna. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that.
We have someone who said they love soup in colder months in the chat.
Yeah, soup is one of those too. And the great thing about soups is that they also freeze really, really well. Okay, so is there anybody here that doesn't like leftovers? Because I know there's people out there that don't. But how, just kind of want to get a feel. So if you like leftovers, say if you're a leftover fan, you can, put in the chat yes. If you're not, you can put in the chat no. We have team leftovers or not. Chilies are also great, yes. And someone's husband doesn't like leftovers. So that can be challenging, definitely. I know people who don't, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that must be much more challenging because you have to have something fresh and new every day. Okay. So hopefully here you could find some, recipes that will taste even better with leftovers. All right, so let's continue here. So this recipe, it's great. You could either, make it and then freeze it. It could last 2 to 3 days in the refrigerator. So it's egg cups. And for breakfast, breakfast is usually a quick and easy time, meal for the day. But sometimes, you just want to have, if you want to have that extra protein, or you want to have something a little bit more solid, this egg cups are a great option. And then, it's also great because you can batch cook it. So you can just have two now, but then freeze it and have it later throughout. So this is a great option for some batch cooking as well. And then some people, some people mentioned soups. So soups also make great leftovers and are great for freezing as well. And these soups both have guiding stars. And guiding stars is a Giant's nutrition rating system. I'm not sure if any of you have seen the guiding stars, or you may have, if you've been to some other of our presentations, have heard of guiding stars. But basically what it is, it's better for you products or items and recipes. So they are going to have stars or receive points if they have, vitamins, minerals, fiber, omega-3s, and they are reduced points if they have saturated fats, if they're high in saturated fats and sodium and added sugars. So these are going to be some healthy for you recipes as well. And someone mentioned chili. So this is one of my favorite chilies is this Tailgater's chili. This one also has the guiding stars. And with this Tailgater's chili, I've actually made it and it's so simple and it's just so tasty. But if you want something that's even faster to make, this is our take 5 beef and bean chili. You could always substitute the beef with ground turkey or ground chicken. So it's just 5 different ingredients. And so not only is it something that, it's great leftovers, freezes well, but it's also quick and easy. And then beans is great for batch cooking. So just, if you have a favorite bean, making that bean, and you could just make so many more recipes with that bean. So using it for different salads, adding it to your a nice salad, making a bean salad with it or adding it to a good salad so that you can add some protein to that salad. A bean dip, that's always tasty. Or you could just make it into a simple meal if you're looking for just something like quick and easy. It's beans and rice, and then you can add some veggies on the side. You could always add some veggies. So now freezer meals. Okay, so we're already made, they're prepared, they're cooked meals in the freezer. It's for that night that you're tired and you don't want to make a whole ordeal in the kitchen. So being able to prepare food ahead of time, freeze it, and then reheat it when you need a quick family dinner on the table has been a lifesaver during busy times. And there's also, many reasons to make meals ahead of time. Sometimes it's nice to make something for friends or family that they can keep in the freezer until they need it. So it's also kind of just nice, if you're looking to support a family member or a friend. And then sometimes you just don't have the time to make full dinners every night or every week. So these are great meal prep ideas. So some tips for freezing, you want to freeze flat. That will save space. It also makes defrosting easier. So use freezer bags to make this step easier. And it's also a space saver if you freeze flat. So flat objects will stack up on the freezer so much easier than when they're in like giant cylinders. And then when it comes to defrosting it or thawing it, um, it will defrost even, like it'll defrost much more evenly when it's flat than when it's in bigger chunks. And you won't have anything getting too warm before other things, which can lead to food safety issues. You would want to cool the food first. Don't put steaming hot food straight into the freezer. That can cause food to live in the danger zone. So for longer and then it should, and then bacteria could grow. So you want to make sure that you're cooling it first. You can put it, into small batches and put it in your refrigerator before or let it cool before you put it into the freezer. And then it's really important to know your limits. So some soups and stews can be frozen for 2 to 3 months. And then some cooked meats, possibly 2 to 6 months. So I have a slide for that. And then you want to make extras for later. Some types of food really lend themselves to making extras and using the leftovers. For example, how I mentioned lasagna and even casserole. So you can save half and put it in the freezer for an easy meal later in the week or later in the month or the next month. So you want to thaw safely in the refrigerator overnight or in cold water. And you change, that water every 30 minutes. So that safest way to defrost is to put it in the refrigerator, 24 hours. If that's, too long, and then maybe, sometimes we're using these meals kind of last minute, or if it's a last minute meal, then you would definitely defrost it in cold water. So I'm going to share the freezer food safety. So for foods like ground meats, the duration would be 3 to 4 months. Fresh poultry uncooked could last from 9 months to a year. Soups and stews would be 2 to 3 months, and cooked meat 2 to 6 months. So good thing is that it can last a pretty long time in the freezer, but not forever. So it's important to label and date everything you put in the freezer. So, you can put expires, maybe calculate the expiration date when you put it into the freezer would be a good, habit to have. And then when it comes to freezing, make sure you're using the right tools. Freezer bags are convenient and space savers, like mentioned. You could also use Tupperware, which are convenient, and choosing those microwave safe containers, which you can reheat from them. So another meal to freeze recipe is the spiced lentil soup. This soup, I love soup even in the middle of summer. I know not everybody does, but it's something that you freezes up to 3 months, and you can make it now, enjoy it later. This recipe is packed with protein and fiber from the lentils and has an array of colorful vegetables like carrots, spinach, tomatoes. So you're getting a lot of good nutrition there too. So love to have in freezer for a cooler day, maybe a rainy day, or just a day you want something, comforting, warm bowl of soup. And this one here is a cashew chicken teriyaki. So if you want to have a different night, and this is a great option to have something Asian. It does have like Asian spices and herbs, and the nice thing here is that it's an healthier take on carry out or takeout food. And this you can defrost overnight and heat. You can add brown rice for a little fiber boost, and the nuts freeze pretty well as well. So this recipe has carrots and green beans, which add some vitamins and fiber. So let's see, I want to see if we have any questions right now.
There are some questions if they'd be able to access the soup recipes, or if you'd be able to share them.
Okay, so yeah, definitely. If there's a way, I can definitely share the slides with you and like put links to the recipes. I don't know if that's or how we can do that. We can
No,
talk.
yeah, that'd be perfect, and then I could send it out in the evaluation once you finish with the presentation.
Perfect. And then some makeover meals. So makeover meals are more than just traditional leftovers. It's taking one component of your meal, maybe one ingredient or one portion of your meal, and completely repurposing it and reinventing it to make an entirely new meal without a lot of extra effort. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I love to do stuffed peppers, but the amount of stuffing is more than what you can usually put into the pepper. So I usually have like a lot of extra stuffing. So this can lend itself to making other recipes. But even if you don't have extra, maybe then doubling up that stuffing for that, for those stuffed peppers. So if you know that you have, you're going to make stuffed peppers one night. So maybe doubling up the amount of the stuffing so that you can use that to make a taco. So have a taco night. You can use that to do a stir fry or a stuffed pepper soup. So definitely trying to repurpose that. And here, baked chicken with peppers. So if you have leftover baked chicken, that could definitely go with your maybe making chicken gyros or chicken salad. So again, if there's one component that you can repurpose and use to make a different recipe. So the nice thing here is that it's a lean protein. Those vegetables, with the peppers, they're fiber rich. And you can pair it with a whole grain. So the baked chicken with peppers, you can definitely prepare it with a whole grain like a brown rice. And all of these are recipes that you can find on Giant Food Savory. So here, even if you have, let's say go into your refrigerator and you have some sporadic or random leftovers in your fridge, that's not a problem. Here are some ideas to make a balanced meal with very little effort. So if you have leftover vegetables, you can add a rotisserie chicken. That's just an idea, but you can add, a protein to that. If it's a night that you're very busy, that's one of my favorite staples at Giant is the rotisserie chicken, because I can use it with leftover veggies, or I can use it with vegetables and a whole grain, and then I could repurpose it and maybe make it into a pasta dish, or I could add it to I can make like tacos with it or a burrito with that. So the other one, leftover protein, and just adding bagged salad. So if you add a bagged salad, you already have, protein and veggies there. All you would need is a carbohydrate. So do you have, something to make it like a grain bowl? Do you have maybe quinoa or brown rice, what was that? Butternut squash, something like that, to give it a little bit of carbohydrates. And then leftover grains, you could definitely do frozen vegetables and beans. So black beans is an option there. And how I mentioned, if you have a lot of one ingredient, so let's say you have a recipe and they call for an ingredient, but then you have a lot left over, and then you're just like, what am I going to do with it? So that's where that meal planning would be really helpful, because you'll see that you're going to have a certain ingredient and then trying to repurpose and use it in other recipes. So here are some ideas for broccoli. It could be frozen broccoli, frozen or fresh, and then here broccoli with cheese and baked potatoes. So making stuffed baked potatoes, a broccoli and chicken wraps, or sheet pan dish. I think I saw somebody mentioned doing sheet pan meals is also a great way to save time. And then brown rice. So I did a recipe because we're doing cook-alongs at Giant, and last week we did jambalaya rice. So I had some extra just plain rice that I added into the sauce. So today, I did a rice bowl. Basically, I did it with tuna. I had canned tuna. I added veggies to it. I had spinach, and then I used some of that rice in my bowl. So here you'll see if you have brown rice, there's just so many options that you could do. It just doesn't have to always be the traditional rice with the protein and the veggies. You could do a chicken and rice casserole, making it into a bean rice bowl. And here, using fish or salmon. So this is teriyaki salmon rice bowl. So just different varieties that you can use as the different grains and different components of my plate. Does anybody have any other suggestions or ideas? I'd like to get feedback from the audience, because we always can learn from each other. I definitely learn a lot from the audience.
So one of the things that I have done, I haven't done it recently, but that really helps me during the week is if I cook on Sundays for the week. And so basically, like whatever I cook on Sunday, like I go ahead and think, okay, we're going to eat this Sunday, we're going to eat this Monday. But then on Sunday, I'm also cooking what we're going to eat for Tuesday and Wednesday. So I literally make a whole nother meal. And then Thursdays is just like leftovers if there is any, or something very quick and easy. And then Fridays and Saturdays, it's like I don't cook. So, so yeah, so just kind of like planning for the week and cooking. I would wake up early on a Sunday morning and like just cook everything, and then package it, refrigerate it, and then that helps a whole lot during the week.
Yeah, I agree. So having a day that, where you would maybe a certain day you might do some of the grocery shopping, and then either that same day or a different day to do some of that prep and cooking is really, really helpful. I know that I do much better when I do that on the weekend. You typically on a Sunday for me as well, to kind of start that week. And then also I do better if I like some of the fruits and vegetables, like if I have grapes, if I wash them, or celery, if I like cut them and wash them. There's some fruits and vegetables that you can wash, like others, like strawberries, you don't want to wash them because then they're just gonna go bad really soon. But when I kind of prep that, or like red peppers and peppers, when I prep that ahead of time, that also helps for me to like use them and grab them, and then having them in sight in your refrigerator in a place that's accessible and easy, and it's inside, because out of sight, out of mind. So you want to make sure that you can see it, because then you're more likely to grab it. And yeah, if you have a family and kids, that's even more important to have like those healthy food options in sight and available, so that they grab those first. And I agree. So, having a day where you can do some of that prep work, some of that cooking, and then, it really helps throughout the week. And if you have things in your freezer, so for those days that you're in a time crunch, or you just need something and you don't really have a plan, then that's where those freezer foods can also be really, really helpful. I see some comments here. Someone roasted a whole chicken on a Sunday and it fed my family for a few days in a row. Yeah. So, those proteins. So whether it's a chicken, so roasting a whole chicken, or making a large batch of beans, making a large batch of ground turkey, and then you could use that. And then you might just, that might take more of the work, and then the other things like the grain or the vegetable could just be a quick and simple add-on. Okay. So I wanted to share a giant. We do have a handpicked by our nutritionist, and this month we're featuring Quaker oats. And I don't know if anybody here loves, oats and oatmeal, but Quaker is family favorite. So you can have the traditional favorite oats, steel cut, old fashioned, or instant. And this recipe here, this is actually on Quaker Oats website, the cranberry almond energy bites. But this is also a great one for kind of like batch cooking. So you can make a large amount of these and they freeze really well. You can have some in the refrigerator and then some in the freezer. So they're just a great treat, but just like a really good, nutrient dense snack, that's also kind of a treat for adults or for kids. I definitely enjoyed them. And then, so the great thing about oats is that they're a great source of soluble fiber, which help manage our blood cholesterol levels, which is, good for any adult. They're whole grain, so they're great for energy throughout the day. And, you can just do a lot with them. So you can have them savory. You can add the mix into muffins, bread mixtures. You can add them into your smoothies. And I actually like to add them if I'm ever making pancakes, add them to my pancake mix, so add some extra fiber. So that could be some, nice fiber rich protein, pancakes. And then another handpicked for us are going to be some healthy choice power bowls. So these are going to be lower in sodium, but they're including a grain, so a whole grain as well as veggie and proteins, and then bird's eyes frozen veggies. So those are also some great options. Nice thing about frozen veggies is that, they are frozen at their peak optimal time. But the great thing is that they're just kind of convenient because you don't have to wash them. You don't have to like really do a lot of cutting or chopping. So if you're looking for some quick and easy ways around the kitchen, these are a great option. And this kind of concludes our presentation. I just wanted to share our resources. We do have a lot of different classes through Giant, as well as now we're doing some fitness classes Saturday mornings and a cook along, and I'll be sharing a slide on that. So if you're interested, feel free to check out our website. And if you have Facebook and would like to join our Facebook group, it's Healthy Living by Giant. There we share a lot of recipes, meal inspiration, and also just kind of the events that we have. And we have a podcast as well. So that's why we say we're where you want it, when you want it. So whichever way you like to learn and receive information. If you like podcasts, they're short, they're about 20 minutes long. And you can, listen to them while you walk or while you drive. I listen to some podcasts while I'm doing laundry. So just kind of, whatever fits your schedule. And I just to share, this is if you go to our website, it's Find Your Fit for our fitness classes, which are Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. and our cook alongs. So we're going to have a plant-based cook along coming up in April, and then one cook along a month, and in May we're going to do a rainbow inspired recipes. So I'm just going to leave some time for some questions. Here's our website for some questions and answers time.
Hi.
Hi, I think I can see that Lori raised her hand.
Yes, I just had a question for just recommendations for recipes that will help with reducing your cholesterol. I know salmon and nuts and avocados. Any other suggestions?
Yes. So definitely with reducing our cholesterol, you want to increase, that fiber-rich foods. So increasing your fruit and vegetable intake, whole grains. So when you look at the nutrition facts label, you want to see that it has fiber. It's going to be under total carbohydrates. It's going to have a section that says fiber. So if it has 3 grams, 4 grams, 5, the more fiber it has, the better it's going to be for your heart. And then you could also look in the ingredients where it says like whole grain or whole wheat. Those are going to be fiber-rich foods. And then some of those heart healthy fats is what you were talking about, which is going to be like salmon, nuts and seeds, like walnuts, almonds. Those are going to be fats that are polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats that are really helpful to have there's 2 types of cholesterol. There's more an LDL, which like you can think of L for lousy, and an HDL, H for healthy. So those promote the healthy cholesterol, and that's what you want to get more of. And then what we want to get less of is those saturated fats and trans fats. So trying to get less of those, which are going to be in a lot of like margarine and a lot of like processed foods. So trying to get less of those and limiting the amount of red meats because those are going to be more higher in saturated fats. That's why we also recommend maybe low fat dairy because dairy is going to be higher in saturated fats. So if you like low fat milk and low fat yogurts, those are going to have less of that saturated fat and cholesterol. Yeah, I hope. And then also extra virgin olive oil is also, good, a good oil to use, canola oil. I hope that answered your question, but awesome.
Yes, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Hi. I don't know how to put my hand up.
It's okay.
Oh, I had a question. I'm trying this challenge of the 12 months to vegan. And I tried, I think it's called Mayoki butter, but do you know any other type of butters to use? I like to bake.
Ooh, you got me there. I think I'm gonna have to do some research for that. Yes, I'm not really familiar with substituting the butter for vegan, but I could definitely do some research. And if you want to either send me your email or I can put my email down if you don't feel comfortable leaving it here. And then you could just kind of contact me. Somebody mentioned that Country Crock has some great plant-based butter. I haven't tried it though.
Okay.
So Lori, which plant-based butter are you using?
Now, Dawn, I was the one that asked the question. I was using Mayoki.
Mayoki, right. Okay, Lori's the one that's using the Country Crock plant-based butter.
Can you hear me? This is Liz. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to share with everybody, I've been trying to do a lot of plant-based things myself, which I signed myself up for that class next week through Parks and Planning. But I found a really good yogurt. If you like yogurt, it's absolutely delicious. It's by Siggy's. I used to eat Siggy's because it was very high in protein. It's not a very sweet yogurt, but they now make a plant-based one and Giant sells it. It's absolutely delicious.
Wonderful.
I was buying it through Whole Foods, but Giant, when I found it in Giant, I was just thrilled. So you might want to try that too. It has a lot of protein in it also.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. Yes, I also really love Ziggy's. And it's a great source of protein as well. So the nice thing about having protein is that it helps to keep you full and satisfied longer. And so, when we eat, definitely want to feel satisfied and be able to have that energy and not feel like we're hungry again in 5-15 minutes. It helps to keep you energized and satisfied for that next meal or snack. Well, I hope you all found some, meal inspirations, and I will be sharing the slides. And then, I could add the links to those, the links to the recipes. And again, you can find these recipes on our website. And if you haven't checked out our, savory database, I would encourage you to. You could filter it. If you go to advanced filters, you can filter through with guiding stars. And so these are going to be recipes that are going to have, not be as high in fat, not be as high in sodium, not have all those added sugars. So I would definitely encourage you. And the cool thing is it has a search. So if you have, your carrots and you're like, what can I do? I want something different. You can just search carrots or search casserole or do a search on tacos and just get different ideas and different recipes for different kind of dishes or ingredients that you might have at home.
Well, thank you. That was very interesting.
Thank you. And I'm going to share that now.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Josefina, for that great presentation. Before we leave, we just have a few announcements. We want your feedback, so be on the lookout for an email with a link to complete a survey for a chance to win an Amazon gift card, along with the resources from tonight's program. Also, please join us for Dine, Learn, and Move on Wednesday, March 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And you can also join us for our next nutrition workshop on March 24th from 6 to 7 p.m.
The plant-based one they mentioned.
I can look on my, if you hold on, I can look and tell you what it is.
Thank you for joining us for National Nutrition Month. For more videos to help you make healthier choices, visit the Department of Parks and Recreation's online resource center at pgparks.com or the Health and Wellness Virtual Library at wellness.pgparks.com. Until next time, be healthy, be well. Thank you again for joining us.
If you can hear me, it's on March the 29th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Planning. Uh-huh.
Thank you.